Hello friends, this is Dr. Ranjini, Assistant Professor in Biotechnology. Welcome to virtual classes in biomolecules. Last class we had introduction about carbohydrates. Today we learn about the classification of carbohydrates in detail. Carbohydrates are classified into monosaccharides, oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. Now we'll see monosaccharides. The monosaccharides are the simplest form of carbohydrates. In the name monosaccharide, the term mono means one and saccharide means sugar. Monosaccharides are polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketone that cannot be hydrolyzed further to give simpler sugar. So these are the simpler sugars which cannot be hydrolyzed further. These are also defined as polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones. The polyhydroxyaldehydes are called aldoses. Monosaccharides can be classified based on the functional group. Either they may have the aldehyde group or the ketone group. If they have the aldehyde group, such type of monosaccharides are called as aldoses. So what are aldoses? Polyhydroxyaldehydes are called aldoses. Example includes glucose and galactose. Both glucose and galactose, they have the aldehyde as the functional group. Here the aldehyde, both glucose and galactose are monosaccharides. They are having 6 carbon atoms in their skeleton. The general formula is C6H12O6. C6H12O6. Here in the first carbon atom in the glucose as well as in the galactose we have CHO group. CHO is the aldehyde functional group, is located in the first carbon atom. And in glucose, the second carbon atom is having hydroxyl group towards the right side and hydrogen towards the left side. At carbon atom 3, glucose has the hydrogen towards right side and hydroxyl group towards the left side. At carbon atom number 4, glucose is having hydroxyl group towards right side and hydrogen towards the left side. Similar configuration at the C5 carbon atom, glucose is having hydroxyl group towards the right side and hydrogen towards the left side. And at the 6th carbon atom, it is having hydrogen, that is CH2OH. 2 hydrogens will be there on the right and the left side with 1 hydroxyl group. 1 hydroxyl group will be there extra. So this is the CH2OH at the C6 carbon atom. Glucose, it is a monosaccharide. It is having the CHO group, that is the aldehyde group at the first carbon atom, and from carbon atom 2 to carbon atom 6 it has the hydrogen or it has the hydroxyl group and their position will be differing. But this glucose structure is very important because in the exam they will ask you to write the structure of the glucose, Fisher projection. That's why you should know the position of the hydroxyl group at the each carbon atom, or the functional groups at each carbon atom is very important. You should remember. If you learn the structure of the glucose, rest of the sugar structure you can write if you understand the modifications, slight modifications at particular carbon atom. That's why you should learn the structure of the glucose. Now I think you know the structure of the glucose. At first carbon atom you have the CHO and second carbon atom OH towards right, and at third carbon atom H towards right, at fourth and fifth OH towards right, and then at the sixth carbon atom you have CH2OH. Then coming to the galactose. Galactose is having the CHO group at the first carbon atom. Like the glucose, here also it has the the OH towards the right and H towards the left at the C2 carbon atom, and in the C3 carbon atom also it has the configuration similar to the glucose, having H towards the right side and OH towards the left side. But at 4th carbon atom, galactose is having the configuration slight different from the glucose. Here it has the hydrogen towards the right side and OH towards the left side. But in case of the glucose, we have OH towards right side, but here H is towards the right side. You should remember this difference. Next, in 5th carbon atom in the galactose, 5th carbon atom in the galactose, here you have the OH towards right and H towards the left, just like the glucose. And then at the 6th carbon position you have the CH2OH. This is regarding the structure of the glucose and galactose. Both the sugars are monosaccharides and they have aldehyde as the functional group. Next is, what are ketoses? Monosaccharides are classified into aldoses and ketoses. In the previous slide we saw the aldoses. Now we see about the ketoses. Ketoses are the polyhydroxy ketones. They have the ketone as the functional group. Here the example is the fructose. The fructose is having the ketone functional group at C2 position. So this type of sugars are called as ketoses. Here also the fructose is having C6H12O6. But when you see the structure, here at the carbon atom number 1 you have CH2OH. So 2H on either side and OH towards the upper portion. CH2OH is there, and at the C2 position you have the ketone group, and the rest of the structure is similar to our glucose. The rest of the structure is similar to our glucose. Only at C2 position you have the carbonyl, that is ketone group, but rest of the structure is similar to the glucose. So that's why you should learn the structure of the glucose neatly, and then you can write the any sugar structure, but you should know the slight modifications at the particular carbon atom. Since it has the carbonyl group, it is called fructose, or this is called ketose sugar. Now the aldoses and ketoses are further divided based on the number of the carbon atom present in their molecule. Like trioses, if they have the 3 carbon atom in their carbon skeleton, they are called trioses, and if they have the 4 carbon atom in their carbon skeleton, then they are called as tetroses. If they have the 5 carbon atom in their carbon skeleton, they are called pentoses. If they have the 6 carbon atom in their skeleton, they are called hexoses. All these are monosaccharides. Either they have the aldehyde as a functional group or ketone as the functional group. But these monosaccharides are classified based on the number of carbon atom. And if it is a aldose, it is referred as aldotrioses, aldotetroses, aldopentoses, or aldohexoses, and ketohexoses if they have the ketone as the functional group. Now we'll see the classification of monosaccharides based on the number of carbon atom. Here, if the sugar has the 3 carbon atom, then they are called triose. If they have the aldehyde as the functional group, then it is termed as aldotriose. If it has the ketone as the functional group, it is called ketotriose. The best example is aldotriose is the glyceraldehyde. Glyceraldehyde is having the 3 carbon atom and it is having the aldehyde as the functional group, whereas the ketone form is dihydroxyacetone, DHAP, that you will be knowing in the metabolism class, where when you will be learning about the glycolysis, we will learn about the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and the DHAP. So these are interconvertible. So these sugars are having the 3 carbon atom. Next we'll see the 4 carbon atom containing monosaccharides, and these are termed as the tetroses. These are termed as Tetoses. If they have the aldehyde group, they are called aldotetrose. If they have the ketone group, then they are called as the ketotetrose. The example is erythrose. The example is erythrose, which is having the aldehyde as the functional group and it has the 4 carbon atom in its skeleton. Next, similarly, if the 4 carbon atom erythrose is having the ketone group, it is called as erythrulose. It is called erythrulose. Aldoses, they will be having the suffixes OSES, whereas ketoses will be having uloses. U-L-O-S-E-S. Ulosis. Ulosis refers to the monosaccharide having the ketone group, whereas if it has the aldehyde, it is called as it will be having the suffix OSES. It will be having the suffix OSES. That is the aldose, and the ulosis means that is ketosis. So tetroses example is erythrose and erythrulose. Next is pentose. The pentose monosaccharide will be having the 5 carbon atom in its skeleton, and if it has the aldehyde, then it is called as aldopentose. If it has the ketone, then it is called as ketopentose. The best example is the ribose. Ribose, it is an important monosaccharide, play an important role in the formation of the nucleic acid. This ribose, it is having 5 carbon in its skeleton and aldehyde as the functional group. Similarly, if the 5 carbon ribose, if it the carbon monosaccharide, if it has the ketone as the functional group, it is referred or it is called as ribuloses. It is called ribuloses. These ribose will be present in the RNA, and the deoxyribose, when it does not contain the oxygen at the C2 position, then it is called as deoxyribose sugar that is present in the DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acid. The ribose sugar is present in RNA, that is ribonucleic acid. Next is, if the monosaccharide has the 6 carbon in its skeleton, then it is called hexose. If it has the aldehyde group, it is aldohexose. If it has the keto group, then it is called ketohexoses. Example for aldohexose is glucose. Glucose is having the aldehyde group and 6 carbon in its skeleton. Similarly, for the ketohexose, it is fructose, which is having the ketone as the functional group. Like this, the monosaccharides will be classified based on the number of carbon atom. If the carbon skeleton is having 7 carbon atom, then it is called as heptose. If it is aldehyde, it is aldoheptose. If it has the ketone group in the carbon skeleton, then it is ketoheptose. So this will tell you the classification of the monosaccharide in detail, like aldoses and ketoses based on the aldehyde or the ketone group. Apart from that, this monosaccharide can be classified further based on the number of carbon atom in its carbon skeleton. Next, we will move on to oligosaccharides. So these oligosaccharides produces 2 to 10 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis. 2 to 10 monosaccharide units will be released on hydrolysis of oligosaccharides. They can be further classified based on the number of monosaccharide units formed on hydrolysis. Carbohydrates or the oligosaccharides are classified based on the number of monosaccharide units they form on hydrolysis. For example, disaccharides. These are the oligosaccharide and they give 2 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis, which may be same or different. Disaccharides on hydrolysis releases 2 monosaccharide units, and these 2 monosaccharide units may be same type or the different type. For example, sucrose For example, sucrose on hydrolysis, when the sucrose combines with the water molecule, it will form one molecule of glucose and another molecule of fructose. It is composed of two monosaccharide units, both are different. Whereas another example is the maltose. Maltose on hydrolysis, when it combines with the water, it releases two molecules of glucose, the same monosaccharide units, that is glucose. Two molecules of glucose will constitute maltose. So this is regarding disaccharides. On hydrolysis, they releases two monosaccharide units which may be same or different. Next classification of oligosaccharide is trisaccharides. These are again oligosaccharides. On hydrolysis, they releases three molecules of monosaccharide units. For example, raffinose on hydrolysis releases one molecule of glucose and one molecule of fructose and one molecule of galactose. So trisaccharides or oligosaccharides on hydrolysis releases three molecules of monosaccharide units. Example is raffinose. On hydrolysis, it releases glucose, fructose and galactose. Like this, oligosaccharides will be classified like disaccharide, trisaccharide, tetra, penta, hexa, hepta, octa, nano and decasaccharides, depending on the number of monosaccharide units they release on hydrolysis. So they can release 2 to 10 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis. This is regarding oligosaccharides. Next we will move on to polysaccharides. These are carbohydrates, give large number of monosaccharide units on hydrolysis. If you count, they releases more than 10 monosaccharide units, and these number of monosaccharide units may vary from one polysaccharide to another polysaccharide. And these monosaccharide units are joined together by oxide bridges, and these linkages are called glycosidic linkages. Polysaccharides are linked together by glycosidic linkages. This is a specific bond present in the carbohydrate that links the two adjacent monosaccharide units. The common and widely distributed polysaccharides correspond to the general formula C6H10O5 whole to the power n. They have the general formula C6H10O5 to the power n. The polysaccharides are not sweet in taste. Hence they are called non-sugars. Some common examples are starch, cellulose and glycogen. So these are the polysaccharides which are non-sugars, and they will not give the sweet taste when they are tasted. And they have the general formula, the C6H10O5N. When it combines with n number of water molecule, it will give only the glucose molecule. Starch on hydrolysis will give n number of glucose molecule. The starch is the storage food material in the plants, and the glycogen is the storage food material in the animals. And cellulose we will find in the plant. Okay, this session will tell you or will give the information about the detailed classification of the carbohydrates. Here you should remember the monosaccharides, oligosaccharides and polysaccharides, how they are classified. And then you should remember how monosaccharides are further classified based on the functional group like aldoses and ketoses, and based on the number of carbon atoms like trioses, tetroses, like that. And then you should remember the structure of the glucose, fructose and galactose. And This video will tell you the detailed classification of the carbohydrates. I hope you understood this session. Thank you.